defiant on digital assets and sound money and the whole ecosystem that is the Internet of Value.
You mentioned we're in a big bubble. Can you elaborate on that, and how is this likely to play out?
When you print money on the scale that modern nations are printing it, Japan, the United States, Europe, etc., we're getting into new territory in terms of size. There's never been anything quite like what we're doing now, and we do know from what's happened in other nations, if you try and print too much money, it eventually causes terrible trouble. And we're closer to terrible trouble than we've been in the past, but it may still be a long way off. I certainly hope so.
Well, we've got some pretty big developments on the international front.
Everybody has now learned that the dollar is a liability and not an asset. So, i.e., dollars can get taken away from you at will. So, even though it looked like a very smart move to weaponize reserves and the financial system, what is actually happening is you are now forcing the de-dollarization of the world. Obviously, Russia just got thrown out, but they've been planning for it. Let's be absolutely clear. Russia's been planning for it. They probably didn't imagine it this fast, this apocalyptical, but the Chinese will be planning it too. The central bank digital currency is part of that planning. So everybody wants to move away from the dollar. And right now, the instant thing that any central bank can do is own more gold. So I think this is a very bullish gold environment for central banks, because that's what they do. It's an asset that they're comfortable with.
Jeremy, I would have to disagree. This is because of money printing. This is not because of some intellectual exercise. This is the Federal Reserve and the central bank in Japan and the central bank in England and the central bank in Europe printing staggering amounts of money. This is unprecedented. Never in world history has every central bank, a major central bank, printed money at the same time and desperately tried to debase their currency. This is madness. Yes, yes, yes. People are getting the money, are having a good time. If you gave me $1 trillion, Jeremy, I'd show you a good time. But this is not good for the world.
And Jeremy, what happens if the Fed starts to take away the punch bowl?
Well, you know, it's my belief, and I know this is not what the market thinks. The market thinks this bull market is because of QE, quantitative easing. It's my feeling that it is driven by fundamentals.
But Jeremy, this is all artificial. Suppose, sanity resumes someday. Suppose people say we cannot have zero interest rates. We cannot have gigantic deficits. We cannot have gigantic debt. Suppose somebody says to Mr. Bernanke, you got to stop this.
Well, we are going to have an increase in interest rates. I absolutely agree with you. But they're still going to be very low by historical standards. I mean, inflation is very low.
Jeremy, when you say there's no inflation, that's because your butler does your shopping. The rest of us who go shopping, we know that prices are going up. Have you been to a restaurant recently? You're a professor, you probably go to restaurants all the time. Have you bought insurance? Have you bought health care? Have you bought anything recently? You know that prices are up.
Let's talk about all those phone calls we mentioned at the beginning that you're getting. People wanting to escape the banking system. I've spoken about it in past interviews. This is a trend that I'm seeing more and more. Loss of trust in the banking system and loss of trust in the dollar.
Yeah.
Why is there this philosophy, especially amongst the young, that they see crypto as the only, or meme stocks as the only way to get rich today? Is it because the corporate ladder philosophy is out the door, that cost of living is too high, that you can't just have a 9-to-5 job to become wealthy anymore?
I think there's a certain wisdom among the younger generation. They don't understand it themselves, but they feel it's the next big thing. But our generation of boomers, we don't feel it. We have to study it. Somebody has to explain it to us, and then we might try and step in a little bit. But the younger generation, they feel it naturally. It's the sign of the times. It's the zeitgeist, like the Germans say it.
So to that point, Willem, for yourself, obviously you have embraced the cryptos. You are someone from the gold realm, but have
It was hard.
embraced the crypto.
It was hard.
It was hard, but you got there. You got there. How do you break it down? Are you open to the other cryptos? What's your philosophy?
Today, I wired $250,000 for an investment in a very unique fund, which is fully dedicated to DeFi, decentralized finance, which is connected to the most important venture capital funds in the US, who invest in the platforms which will be very disruptive to financial systems.
Can you name it?
No, I won't name it. And when you look at the financial industry, the way we settle and clear stock trades, it takes 3 days. If you want to transfer money internationally, it takes 3 days. So you've got these bright guys now building platforms, and they say, hey, wait, guys, look, it can be done much smarter. We'll use blockchain. We'll use smarter systems. And that's what we call DeFi, decentralized finance. And I think this will be huge, because the financial system still operates like 100 years ago, the plumbing system of the financial system.
We're not going back to the same economy. This will be a different economy. And one of the things we hear from companies is that they've spent a lot of time since the pandemic arrived looking at ways to have more effective technology and perhaps fewer people. So you're going to see some of that in these public-facing jobs. So there will be millions of people who have a hard time finding their way back into the workforce and recovering the lives that they had just a year ago. And, you know, I think it would be appropriate for us to continue to support those people.
The United States has an interest in ensuring that it remains at the forefront of responsible development and design of digital assets and the technology that underpins new forms of payments and capital flows in the international financial system, particularly in setting standards that promote democratic values, the rule of law, privacy, the protection of consumers, investors, and businesses, and interoperability with digital platforms, legacy architecture, and international payment systems. Well, to me, bells were ringing when I heard that, because of course, who is the premier provider of payment systems and interoperability with digital platforms, and particularly with legacy architecture like the SWIFT system? Ding, 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 it's XRP, of course. XRP is the neutral bridge currency that can bridge the SWIFT system and convert one thing of value to another, whether that's one currency to another, whether that's a tokenized commodity such as gold or silver, whether that is a stock, whether that's a derivative. Any form that can be tokenized, XRP can be the neutral bridge to convert that into another form of value. The executive order also mentions, quote, making investments and domestic and cross-border funds transfers and payments cheaper, faster, and safer, and by promoting greater and more cost-efficient access to financial products and services. Well, again, bells went off in my head. Ding, ding, ding. Cross-border funds transfers and payments cheaper, faster, safer. What do we know about XRP? We know that the speed per transaction is 3 seconds. We know the cost is less than a fraction of a penny. And we know it's scalable with over 1,500 transactions per second. But it didn't stop there. It went on to say, and reduces negative climate impacts and environmental pollution as may result from some cryptocurrency mining. Ding, 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 bullseye. Okay. I mean, bells were ringing all over the place because XRP is a green energy. It is not a cryptocurrency miner.
Where do you feel that XRP, just based on your honest opinion, is going to hit, say, a month after regulation?
Yeah. So we believe that the last domino to fall on regulation right now is the SEC lawsuit, and that could be resolved in a variety of ways, but it could also be resolved in regulation coming in over the top. we know it's imminent though, right? So when I say imminent, I would be surprised if a quarter from now we're really still embroiled in the SEC lawsuit, because I think the state of affairs throughout the world is such that we're going to need a solution like an XRP for liquidity purposes sooner rather than later. So the question is then, okay, we've magically resolved it. Where does the price go? It's easy to project that it's a double-digit number. So I think it immediately shoots up to a $10, potentially $20. The wild card to me is that there is actually a deal to be done among the central banks and governments to basically have XRP work as the world's bridge currency, a neutral asset that can be traded between the central banks to move a specific type of fiat to another type of fiat. If that's what occurs, it's back to what we were discussing earlier. It's got to cover kind of all the money. And I think you're looking at a range that XRP would settle on agreement. So this would happen instantaneously, somewhere between $10,000 and $35,000 a coin. And our lives will be, maybe the same, maybe different. I don't know. Probably a little different.